My name is Kevin DeFord. It's a pleasure to host this debate. I would appreciate your forgiveness. I've never done this before, so we'll do the best we can with it. I do want to recognize those faculty who came out today to watch the debate. I appreciate you coming, as well as the deans and our interim president, Dr. Ray. So we appreciate you all attending. I do want to welcome you, and initially what I'd like to do is I'm going to invite Christian to come up and just say a brief word.
With great sadness and a heavy heart, I am announcing that Alex and I are out of the election. I'd like to thank all our supporters thus far. It has been a great experience. Thank you.
So I want to make a couple of comments before we begin. The candidates have randomly chosen a number, and so Dawn and Andrew are actually going to be going first. The general format is we're going to have a 3-minute opening, opening session, and after that opening session, then each attendee, now we're not going to be able to go through all attendees, but each attendee is at least allowed one question. So if you do have a question, then I want to invite you to go to a mic. There will be mics on this side and on this side, and I think we've got some volunteers who have the mics. So after the opening sessions, then you are invited to go to the mic and ask a question. We will randomly choose who will go. We'll alternate who addresses the question, and each of the responses are going to be restricted to 1 minute. So I will ask the candidates. I will give you a 10-second warning for you to kind of get your thoughts together and wrap up in that last 10 seconds of the minute. If needed, if there are comments that are directly related to the other party, then we will give the other party an opportunity for a 30-second rebuttal if they so desire. At the end, so as we are approaching the close of the debate, then we will also give each party a chance to give a 1-minute kind of concluding statements associated with the debate. So if there are no questions, are there any questions? Candidates? Everybody good? If there are no questions, then we will invite Don up, and he will give our first talk. So, Don.
Fellow students, current members of the SGA, and present faculty, I thank you all for coming here this morning. It's good to know that even when we're not protesting, we can still support our school because of how much we love it. I figure a lot of you really don't know me that well, so if I may, allow me a second or two to introduce myself. My name is Don McGregor. Some people call me DP. I study music composition here at King, and I have a minor in security and intelligence studies. I am a commuter. That's probably why you don't see me very often on here on campus. My family moved here in 1995. At the time, Dr. Jordan had not been instated as president, and Dr. Ray was still pastor of First Presbyterian Church next door to my house. And if you're wondering what that means geographically, yes, I grew up with King in my backyard, literally. I got my Eagle Scout rank in 2009. I've always taken my morals very seriously. I value things like that. I started here at King in fall of 2011, and I intend to graduate in 2015 with a Bachelor of Arts in Music. Now, you may be wondering what separates me from the lovely Miss Miller and Miss Pokoloff besides my beautiful beard. I offer as a response this. Because of the time we've been here, I remember what King was like before Dr. Jordan altered the environment of the school into one of fear. In a way, that very few students can really attest to. Granted, it was still toxic to an extent even then, but there was still something present in that environment. There was a presence that came through freedom of expression and the respect of surrounding institutions. We weren't just a private school in the hills of Appalachia. We were king, and we were known. And we still are, but unfortunately, our reputation isn't quite the same, is it? Those days, I'm afraid, are gone, where there was once a swimming pool and a 9-hole golf course. There are now lower level classrooms in Klein and all the sports fields and student centers that followed. Can't really return to that, but of course that's not what I'm here to accomplish. My intentions are to help reestablish a mindset that the school once carried, one that honors and appreciates the past, challenges the elements around it in academia, and embraces the future. I know that both of our respective parties are capable of leading, and both will be able to accomplish exactly what they set out to do. I am actually very glad to say that I like to consider my party very good friends with their party. We've been able to get along quite nicely. So in the end, the question you need to ask yourself through all this is, what perspective do I want my SGA president to have? Do I want one that understands the student dynamics? Well, it's kind of a toss-up. We're both very adept when it comes to that. We take passion in our school and in our students. Do you want a president who understands the heritage of King? I can speak for myself. I like to think that makes it a little bit easier to decide. Do you want someone who pursues their change based on vision or memory? Well, again, I can speak for myself. But in the end, this all has to be up to you. So as you listen, please think about this. Think about the perspective you want your president to have as we move forward. And again, I thank you all for attending today, and I hope that we can all continue to move forward to a better future for the school together. Thank you.
Esteemed faculty, alumni, and my fellow students, after months of protesting, praying, and direct action, we now stand like Joshua and the children of Israel in the receded waters of the Jordan, waiting to cross to the promised land. We saw the united power of a united community. We felt unfamiliar hands joined in prayer. We heard one voice in our dorms, in our classes, and around campus. We spoke, and they listened. Amid these waters of the receded Jordan, we now ask who will lead our student government. I and Bo Pogoloff are ready to lead these next steps. We are prepared to lead you. When you cast your vote for us, you cast your vote for capable leadership. We are both students of the sciences and humanities. We are involved in the Snyder's Honors Program, Alpha Phi Omega, and the Buechner Board. We have both worked outside the United States, in Israel, and in Haiti. And yes, the rumors are true, I did cut my hair just for this occasion. We are prepared and capable to lead King. Not only are we capable, but Bo and I are committed to transparency. When you cast your vote for us, you cast a vote for discontinuing dishonest actions. We will push the SGA out of dim conference rooms and into the street through posting the minutes for every meeting, hosting lively student forums, and an open door policy so wide you all can walk in at once. We want you to be actively engaged in SGA. After all, we are your capable servants, and we believe that an active, well-informed student body is the basis of good student government. We are capable, transparent, and committed to community. When you cast your vote for us, you are casting a vote for yourself, because we know what it means to be a student at King. We have been both residents and commuters. We've lived out the challenges you face on a daily basis. We will bring both into more involvement on campus. While past student administrations served this community well, we are committed to doing more. Capability, transparency, and community. For these things, you cast your vote. Let us show anger towards no one, but only love for all, sure in the faith that God is with us. Let us continue healing our great community, binding up the wounds around us, caring for each other as our own, visioning, building, and rebuilding a new student government for a new King. As Frederick Buechner wrote in Beyond Words, here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. And here's King University. Terrible things have happened, but the beautiful is near. Don't be afraid. Look us in the eyes. Ask your questions. Take our hands here and the receded waters of the Jordan. Vote for Lauren and Bo.
Thank you both parties. I do want to invite you now, if you have questions, then you are welcome to approach those of you. So we've got a mic here, a mic here. And if I'd ask you gentlemen to make your way to the sides, then if you do have a question, I ask you to approach the mic. Once you ask the question, then either candidate, either presidential or vice presidential candidate, are free to respond.
First off, okay. First off, before I ask my question, I want to clarify something just for those of you who may not be from around here. It's pronounced Appalachia, so regardless of what you heard growing up. My question is basically what I want out of an administration is somebody who's going to be aggressive and engage not just the students but the faculty as well. So where do you find the line as far as being aggressive and then being passive to a certain extent?
Let's start with, oh. Go ahead. Right.
When our actions start to go towards violence, when our minds want to destroy as opposed to improve, that is the limit. We can move forward, and we can move forward with civility. I've seen it happen thus far. We had a prayer demonstration where most schools would have honest-to-God riots. I find that impressive. So for me, it's once we start saying, well, let's have a Bolshevik-style revolution, that's probably where I would draw the line, personally.
I have the honor of being very close with several members of faculty and staff on campus, as well as administration and even board of trustee members. And I'm willing to fight for the students and be as aggressive as necessary to get the point across, because this campus is for you all. We are here for you. We are your voice. And I want to make that perfectly clear that whatever you all need, that you can come to us and we will approach whoever we need to get things done. And I think that that's what we try to accomplish in our mission statement about transparency. We have nothing to hide and we don't want to hide anything about it. So thank you.
Other questions?
Something that kind of goes along with that, one of the buzzwords that's been going around is communication, and I'd just like to know, kind of going along with that statement, how are you practically going to improve communication from students to you, because it hasn't happened as well as it should have in the past, and then the communication from you to people who can make decisions. Can you just outline how you're going to improve that?
I had a microphone, so I'm not going to use it. There's a lot of ways to do that. We've talked a lot of different ways. One of the main things is trying to use the social media, being involved when we were not asleep. I saw the power of that and how I can get people involved. We want to post all the minutes from the faculty, but also have polls on there. So if there's an issue, that you can take a poll and say, hey, I agree that we need to put the money into the fine arts building, or no, I think maybe we should put the money into the fields. That's one way to do it. Another thing is these student forums that Dre started were very effective in communicating between the administration and us, directly fielding questions. That public forum needs to continue. Just because Dr. Jordan's gone doesn't mean that communication shouldn't be going on directly between you and the administration. So those are a few specific things. There's a lot more, but I only have about a minute to say. If you guys have any more questions about that sort of stuff, please come to us, because we have a lot of ideas on how to do that. Thanks.
And like your question said, I can probably go with it. Communication is a big word, and that's one thing we saw in these past couple of years, that it's one thing we've lacked. One thing I want to say is that from the students to us, you can come talk to any member of the SGA about anything going on. Yes, we all do look really scary, and yes, most of us do have beards and we are terrifying, but that office is always open. All of us are always around campus, and you can talk to us. You all are also invited to the meetings on Fridays at 9:15 during this time. You can come in if you have a problem, if there's something going on and you need to ask about it, come to us. And then we will hopefully get our word to the next level and be able to get some different changes. And as one of my friends told me last night, and he said to, hopefully this will help me, and America.
Both of you party. Both have great ideas, but you're not going to be able to do it without funding. So how are you guys going to get the funding to be able to do your ideas?
Raise awareness and have better communication with the administration. Keep an open mind, keep the conversation going. The more we discuss, the more we debate, the more we communicate, the more present we'll be, and the more present we'll be, the more likely they will be to collaborate with us.
I think you all are aware of the We Are Not Asleep movement and how that kind of exploded social media, and a lot of alumni have come out and have actually pledged $300,000 so far or more. We are actually in contact with those alumni. They reached out to us when they saw that we were campaigning, and we've been in constant communication with them. And they have their own board that they are forming and want a student advocate on their board. They are the only way that we're going to get this money. I do not have $1 million to pay the Oval sitting in the SGA fund. We need alumni support. And Bo and I do have that direct contact with the alumni. We also have personal relationships with Board of Trustee members, which are the actual overseers of what is going to happen on this campus. I was born and raised in Bristol, and my dad has made a lot of connections throughout his time while living here, and I hope to reach out to them and put a bug in there about what's going on, because they are on campus only twice a year. But keeping them aware of how the students are feeling, what's going on, what their concerns are, will be absolutely crucial in this time.
My question goes to both parties of how do you address student apathy, even in the midst of talking about We Are Not Asleep and things like that. It was kind of an anomaly in the midst of social media campaigns among the campus, because SGA currently has a Facebook page, and Unplugged has a Facebook page, and so many different things across campus have a Facebook page. And so how do you engage students, address apathy, and not just, because, I was SGA vice president at one point, so getting students, letting students know the door is always open, and letting students know that, they can come to the meetings probably not going to happen still, unless something else happens, unless there's some sort of engaging after that. So what are your plans to address that and make effective communication between student and your administrations and faculty administration happen?
Lauren?
Speak
One of
to
the
the
ways
mic,
that we
please.
plan to do this,
Bo.
because
Talking to Mike, please. Thank you.
I hate mics. Community is a big buzzword, and everybody talks about it every year. People run for president, and every year there's a lot of apathy on campus, and everybody sees that. What we're really going to try to do is make the senators more public figures. We really being here for 3 years, I barely know who my senators are. Up until recently, I had no idea. There's always clubs meeting outside of the lunchroom at those tables. Why aren't our senators ever there for meet and greets? Why aren't they there saying, hey, ask us a question, what are your concerns? I'm your sophomore representative. Are you a sophomore? And obviously the Facebook page and those things, but you have to have that direct contact, face to face. You have to go through the dorms if you're a senator and say, hey, listen, I'm so-and-so, and I'm this representative for the junior class. Another thing that we've seen is clubs, especially the smaller ones, are going extinct on campus. We've seen KSI, FCA, those things grow exponentially, but the smaller clubs have not. Some of that has to do with funding initially, but I also think I started a club and I was handed $100 and said start a club. I think there needs to be more direction for club leaders. We need to bring in, like Dr. J, he runs an extraordinarily successful club. He should come in and talk to people who are trying to start a club and say, hey, here are successful things you can do in budgeting your money, in advertising, and all of those sorts of things. So those are sort of some of our basic ideas, and thank you.
Getting student interest back into the field is one of the primary platforms that we are taking. Starting with Facebook clubs and trying to raise interest there. But when it comes to the social clubs here, I tried to start a film studies group not too long ago, and it didn't really go very well because nobody knew. I definitely agree. We need to get people who know about how to run a successful club, get them in here, show us what to do. A lot of us, we get started, we have no idea what we're doing. When it comes to the SGA, we need to make ourselves more public. I'm in the same boat as Bo, actually. I have been on this campus for 3 years. I have no clue who my representatives are. I only know the president and vice president and maybe the secretary if I'm lucky. So get those names out there, promote them more, make them present. In the end, that's the ultimate part of this. If you speak loud enough and long enough, someone's likely to hear you.
How are y'all going to ensure that the senators will want to be educated and active and want to make themselves a public figure?
That one just kind of goes on the point of, if you have the heart enough to do it, and you have the heart enough of being an SGA center and representing this college, you will want your face to be known. You will want your voice to be heard. And then also it comes down to the point of accountability. Senators leaning on senators. If one of your senators aren't doing something, call them out on it. I'll be honest, I've been called out on a lot of stuff in the past 3 years I've been here. And it just goes back to the point of your heart for the college. If you want this to grow, or if you want this to go back to where it was, that's up to you.
I think when people rise to the top, leaders naturally rise to the top. And that's, I think, the people who are going to volunteer to run for Senate. While we may have some ideas of who we want to run, I know that there are tons of capable leaders throughout. But we want to ensure that the Senate takes this seriously from now on. They need to be attending every meeting in a professional manner. They need to be holding us accountable. They need to be arguing with us and making sure that what we're doing, that we're responding to them, that there's an active mode of communication, that it's not a one-party side. And we hope to ensure that the Senate is stocked with students who do care and do have your best interests in mind.
Good morning. Let me come over here so I can see both of you. My name is Hannah Burnett. I'm a senior here at King. And I'm so glad you are both here, both of you parties. We appreciate you. I'm very interested in the aspect of community that Lauren and Bo addressed. And I would like to hear more about that. How do you see that? How are you going to make that tangible? Because community, I think, in the church, in our schools, it's a very vague idea that we've somewhat forgotten, and I would love to see it revived, and I would like to hear some tangible ways that you wish to implement that.
I didn't move through it. So yes, community is huge, and we put that word last because I think we wanted it to kind of sum up everything. I was a resident on campus, and then I became a commuter, and there's such a harsh divide between all of us. You know, there's really not a sense of community. And that is something that I wanted in a college experience. I wanted a family. I wanted, it doesn't matter where I lived, I wanted to make sure that I had a group to go to, and it was composed of various parties. So we want to make sure that there is a place for all people to go. The King's Den is a little small, so maybe if we could find a new place to meet or a larger place. But we just want to first ensure that people have a passion for this place. And we want to revive that, initiative to get out there and get involved in our campus. Because hopefully that will draw in all parties, all aspects, whether you're a resident or a commuter. If you care about your campus, you're going to come out and do a campus cleanup. You're going to want to start something. You're going to want to start a club. You're going to want to get involved. And we hope that that together will bring together some unity and community.
Community on this campus is huge. When we first all get here, launch orientation weekend, that's when this community starts. You start getting to know each other. And commuters, I actually got to do a blog once for launch, and it's basically described commuters as we're the outsiders. Because we're not here all the time. Most of the time we're here, we come here, go to class, and go back home. But if we can get our face known, go out there, host more events. Yes, Unplugged is starting to rise again. And yes, the Super Bowl party, that was huge. If we can get more different things going on around campus, hosted by SGA, get our faces known, or just go hang out in the Oval, play Ultimate Frisbee once, have a tournament by SGA. There we go. And just have different little fun things throughout the year, just to be able to grow that community. So when we do graduate and walk across that Oval for the last time, we still keep that community growing for 20, 30, 40 years from now.
All right, my question is for both parties also. Since King is a Presbyterian-based school and based on Christian values, what are both your plans to amp up and energize the students on these Christian values? What are your plans to make more Christian events and just spread those values? Even though there's been a slum, as Christians, we can fall in the slum. How can you amp up Christian events on campus?
One of the reasons I first came to this school is because of the air of faith that was present here. It's just, I stepped on the campus, even growing up with it, again, literally in my backyard, I knew this is where I needed to be. As I look at the different events that happen in terms of chapel or FCA and things like that. We need to go where people are. FCA is growing. We'll put our emphasis there as well. We'll keep bringing in people for chapel, people who have the same passion for God that we want to seek. It's one of the things I value most about this place is how unapologetic it is about its faith. As we move forward, I want to find people who are willing to speak out and say, I'm here because I want to serve. I think as a community with our services and all of our CCS work, we can redevelop that. We can find our want to serve and not have it feel mandatory. We just have to understand what it takes to get there. And for me, it takes prayer. And again, community. We come together, we pray together, and then we can serve together.
This is a particularly personal question for me because I became a Christian while I was here at King, and the Christian community has served me very well here. And there are clubs, like we said, that have grown, FCA and those things, but I've also seen other places flounder, especially as a member of the Beekner board, the support on campus. There hasn't been enough advertisement, there hasn't been enough word, there should be excitement. We have some of the best Christian speakers coming here in the country. And whether you're a Christian or not, one of our calls is to make disciples. And when you can have the goal of Beekner, which is faith-engaging culture, you can get to people who aren't Christians yet. And the fact that the Beekner board and Beekner itself isn't very well supported, isn't very well advertised, is a huge issue. I think we really need to step up talking about that, getting that noise out there about what's going on there. But, like I said, this community, especially the Christian community here, has served me incredibly well, and I hope that it continues and continues to grow.
Is this okay? It's really hard to hear if it's on or not. I just want to start out by saying I love you all. Thank you all so much for running. I appreciate it as a student here at King. I know that whoever wins is going to do a wonderful job. But I wanted to ask you guys a question that I'm not sure anyone else has really asked yet. Before this whole We're Not Asleep, before the whole rise up to change King, I didn't really know what an SGA president does. Dre did an awesome job stepping up and meeting that challenge, but before that point, I had no idea who he was, partially because I didn't take the step to get informed, but also partially because